Welcome, this is Brandon Dawson to the B. Dawson Show. I'm excited to be talking to you today about drainers. In one of my previous podcasts, we talked about mentors, so I thought it'd be fit to talk in this podcast about drainers. Think about it. It's one thing to go out and find people that you want to have add value to your life and seek them out. It is another thing to have people in your life or you choosing to be a drainer about the things that are going on or the opportunities in your life. So I really want to talk about this because it's fresh in my mind as I've been on the road for the last 3 weeks, meeting with business owners, key contributors, and people in general. And I think it's important to talk about this, although I will say that it may be uncomfortable for some people to hear. And to be honest, it is a little uncomfortable in some cases for me to talk about because I'm a very positive person and I don't like to spend too much time dwelling on things that aren't adding value or positivity into my life. But I think it's important for people that are listening to this to have some context around how you're being perceived or how you're contributing to what could be the next relationship that could change your destiny forever, or how you might be allowing others to control your thinking by being in your proximity and being drainers around you. So what is a drainer? In my mind, a drainer is someone who, the obvious drainers are the ones that suck the air out of the room. They're always unhappy. They always lead out with what's wrong. They always will tell you why they can't do something or how the world's unfair or how they're not being treated right or how they don't have the kind of opportunities, blah, 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 blah. Like those are obvious drainers. What are the not so obvious drainers? Well, the not so obvious drainers are the people that every time you talk about something you're excited about or actually articulate something you're doing, they start poking holes in that enthusiasm and excitement. Or when you paint a picture of what you might want your life to look like, they're the type that try to bring you back to reality. And I know for a fact in business, I've sat with business owners, plenty of them over the last 30 years, and you can hear it in their own words if they've been conditioned to be a drainer. And what that sounds like with a business owner is, oh, I tried to grow and I couldn't do that before, or I've tried to hire good people. There's just no good people out there. Or I, did this and it didn't work because no one would do it with me, or nobody appreciated the services I was offering, or nobody wanted my product, and I've tried it, and if it could be done, I would have done it, but I didn't. And, they talk like that. Well, you can clearly get that when you hear it. And it doesn't take very long when you're listening to someone to understand what kind of mindset they have. See, drainers have a draining mindset. They have a mindset that has been conditioned by them. They've given permission to themselves to condition their mindsets to be that way because you have two options, right? When something happens to you in life, you have the option of embracing it, learning from it, moving through it. And there's so many remarkable examples of people who have accomplished things that on the surface seems like they shouldn't have been able to because they were so disadvantaged, or they did have horrible things happen to them. And yet they emerged as a thought leader, or they emerged as someone who accomplished something that was significant. So anybody has the capability of doing that. But in life, when you're going through life and you've got people around you that have reference points, these are the secret drainers. If you're hanging around people that are just like you, and you have goals and ambitions to do something so much greater, and you talk about those goals and ambitions, those will be the secret drainers are the ones that will look at each other and smirk. Or they'll be the ones that will go, yeah, sure. Yeah. Yeah, sounds like a pipe dream to me. They're the ones that aren't sitting there saying to you, dude, you should go do it. You should conquer it. Or how can I help you? Or, man, that sounds so exciting. I'm so thrilled that you've shifted your mindset to go out to this different level of thinking and doing, and I support you, and how can I help you? Or how can I at least inspire you to continue to press yourself forward to do it? Those people that sit around and smirk or talk behind your back, you have to make a choice. Like, who do you want to surround yourself with? And the obvious drainers that suck the life out of the room, you should love people and be consistent with who you are, but you cannot allow any of that. Your mind has to be like a steel trap. Your energy inside of your body has to be protected. You can go into those environments where people are trying to pull you in their direction, but you got to be like fortified in your belief, fortified in your mindset, fortified in your thinking, and you cannot allow passive drainers or active drainers detract you from doing the right thing. And the right thing is the thing that you're inspired or that you're trying to do. The right thing isn't what they think. The right thing isn't what they feel. The right thing isn't what's right for them. The right thing's what's right for you. And my attitude is, as long as you're morally and ethically and legally going about doing something, why should there be limits on your dreams? There are so many examples of people who have gone out and conquered and crushed, achieving and attaining such huge results that you should believe that you can do that. But sometimes it's a little belief. Sometimes you just want to believe that maybe you can make a little more money, or you can educate yourself in something that you don't know how to do, or you can maybe move and go somewhere and try out a new area of the country or internationally. And then the people around you are telling you that's stupid. All your friends are here. You've never done that before. What if you get lost and no one ever finds you again? What if the airplane you're on crashes and you don't actually make it across the pond? I mean, the drainers just suck every idea out of anything you're trying to do, because they've actually settled in their life, and they don't want to admit it, but drainers are drainers because they choose to be just, look at every situation in a way that's negative, and they've so impacted their thinking, they just permeate negativity and victimization, because I've yet ever met a drainer that's not been victimized by somebody. And this is how crazy it is. I sat across the table from some people in the last couple of weeks who have actually accomplished some pretty remarkable things and are in the beginning stages. They don't see it yet, but they are in the beginning stages of actually being introduced to things that are the things they talk about were their dreams or are their dreams. But the words they're choosing to use right now are drainerisms. They're talking like their old self. Why is that? Why, when they're at that point where they've worked so hard and they're actually getting recognition for the things that they're doing, they're actually ascending in their career and in their financial path, they're sitting there being drainers? I'm compelled to have this conversation with you on this podcast at the risk that it may upset some people, the things I'm saying. But I'm telling you, as I'm sitting here, for a specific reason, which I said on this podcast, we're going to be real. And for some of you, I want you right now, if you're listening to this podcast, to check your words. Check what you're saying. Be intentional to listen to yourself. Write it down when you say anything and you check yourself. Write down what you said and ask yourself, why am I speaking this way? You need to write down your goals. You need to write down your dreams. You need to write down your accomplishments, but you equally need to write down every reflection that you realize you're being a drainer, because there is some conditioning, there is some element, there's some influence that's causing you to have broken thinking or broken beliefs that makes you feel compelled to say things or do things that drainers say and do. When you're sitting with people and you're killing it and you start talking about all the things you did in the past that caused failure, if you're talking about it as an example to influence the person you're talking to help them make a better decision going forward, and you're relating it to something that's significant so you can be an example, that is one thing. But if you are literally just sitting there spewing information that's completely irrelevant, not productive, and potentially viewed as negative information to the people you're talking to, you're being a drainer. You need to stop. And it's hard to stop. I get that. And if there are things going on in your life, maybe one aspect of your life is doing great. Maybe the other aspect is causing stress, but that stress is carrying over to the thing that's actually starting to give you confidence. And if you allow that conversation in your head to come out of your mouth and permeate the people you are with, you're actually lowering their confidence in you. Now, I know this firsthand because it's happened at least 3 times in the last 2.5 weeks. I've been sitting with people that I have a personal perspective of, that I have high enthusiasm for the kinds of things that they can do to succeed. And in those moments where they could be building my confidence in them, they choose to talk and act like a drainer. Now think about it. If you're an employee and you work in an organization and you're making more money than you'd ever made before, and they're giving you more and more opportunity than they ever gave you before, and you're feeling excited and enthused about what you're doing, but then you spend all your energy talking about it's not enough, and it doesn't move fast enough, and I don't like the things I have to do, and I don't like the people I have to do it with, and you talk like that, then the person you're talking to has a conflict. Are you on the path to success, or are you on your path to failure? Like, how do I know, and how do I have confidence, and how I can trust you if you're speaking 2 different ways and your performance might be one way, but your words, your actions, the way you talk are another way? It creates confusion. And why is that interplaying in your mind? Like, you have to ask yourself, why would I ever take that moment of opportunity where I could be with somebody who could change my life forever and start talking about things that drainers talk about? It makes no sense, but people do it all the time. I'm going to keep saying this over and over because I want you to listen to this. You have to condition your mindset to where you want to go. You have to condition your mindset to the steps you're taking to get there. You have to condition your mindset, and that at every technical movement along that path, you're aware and conscious of everyone you're talking about, how they're perceiving you, what you're doing, and what you're intending on have happening. And if something doesn't fit into that, then you're technically drifting. And what happens when you start drifting, which is just kind of wandering all over the place because you don't have a specific point of focus, you allow elements then to come in and come through you because you start thinking about it, so you start talking about it. Well, anybody that's followed me for any amount of time knows I say all the time, and I learned this from my mentor, Hector Lamarck, what you think is what you say is what you do becomes your legacy. So here's a simple question to each and every one of you. What do you want your legacy to be? Because then that will go all the way back to what you're thinking about and what you're communicating about. And if you have people that are trying to pull you off of that, you have to move beyond that sphere of influence and move into a sphere of influence that's propelling you to your belief. Those are hard choices, and sometimes those choices come with consequences. So what I'm trying to say in this podcast is this. If you're at all exhibiting drainerisms, if you're spending any amount of your time, energy, and effort talking about what's wrong, then I assure you, you will only find more of what's wrong. If you're spending your time, energies, and efforts talking about what's right, then you will have the ability to find more things that are right. If you spend your time identifying things that are pulling you off track with the purpose of communicating elements to learn or development areas in order to break through those things so you can propel yourself to the next level of success, that's intentional thinking. That's not drainerism. And the way that would sound is nothing ever works. People can't work right for me. I can never find anybody good. I tried that and it doesn't work too. I've tried it. I didn't do it right. I'm going to look for a solution and do it better. I need a mentor that can help me do it better. And I'm going to fight through it until I figure it out perfectly and flawlessly each and every time because it's incremental improvement. And you acknowledge that and you say it. If you're around people who are constantly talking about everything that's wrong, you need to make a choice because they're imprinting their energy and their belief onto you. And if it's an employee, if it's a friend, if it's a loved one, whoever it is, you need to isolate, acknowledge where they're at. If you have to be around them because they're family or you love them or they're an old friend, that's okay. But compartmentalize your relationship. Acknowledge where they're at. Acknowledge how you will or won't allow that to affect you. Be sweet, kind, and loving to them. I'm not talking about abandoning drainers. It's okay to love drainers. It's okay to be friends with drainers. It's okay to want to help drainers, but you have to compartmentalize the dynamic in that relationship. You have to fortify who you are, what you believe in, and use that positive influence to counteract the drainer. But when you come across people, this is a nuance, and I think it's important to bring up. In my whole life, there's been moments where people have been able to help me dynamically change the outcome personally, professionally, and financially of my life. And I never actually know when those people might be presented to me. What I do know is in reflection, they've always been presented at different parts and different moments of time that I did not anticipate. Could be sitting on an airplane talking to somebody. It could be introduced to somebody for 2 minutes. It could be a cup of coffee with a friend of a friend. It could be any situation that was random. And I didn't anticipate those moments. Each and every one of you have those defining moments of opportunity. You have to prepare yourself to be your best self, to be your highest self, to be your most prepared self at all times. So when those opportunities at a micro moment level occur, you send the vibrational message and energy that's consistent with your dreams, your purpose, and your ambition. That takes a readiness state of mind. People who don't think that way, who are not intentional that way, and people certainly who are drainers, they're victims, they pout about everything, those people will pull you off of that because you being that way makes those people so insecure. Your certainty makes their uncertainty even more powerful to pull them into drainerism. So I'm dropping this podcast to try to help those that are striving to attain or succeed at something that they're struggling to do. And they're finding that the people around them or the people they're encountering or some of the employees they're hiring are clawing at them to bring them back to a place where other people have already conceded or already settled or already chosen to be. And this podcast is to encourage you that if you stay focused, you stay intentional, you surround yourself with the right kind of thinkers, doers, and people who want to contribute to your life. You espouse your convictions of where you're going and how you're going to get there and what your passion is, what your joy is, and you stake that claim in the ground, and you choose to only associate with people who are going to contribute or complement you along the way. And you surround yourself with new people who share and see that vision and want to participate in it. That will create the energy. It will stoke the fire. It will increase the passion. And ultimately, it will create so much more joy that you will succeed at whatever you're trying to do because you'll be propelled in that direction. So here's my final thought. You can love anybody, and you should love everyone that you choose to love. You should appreciate people. You should have gratitude for other people and how they contribute to your life. But for those people who are choosing to be victims, who choose to drain, who choose to excuse, who choose to rationalize, who choose to blame others, those people you need to isolate and fortify who you are, what you are, where you're going, and you need to be on point every moment. Because that very moment that you walk away from a table of somebody that you're having a beer with, or you're having a drink with, or you're having a conversation with, who's victimizing and blaming and dragging you down, you may stand up and walk right over to another table and sit down with somebody who could be that very singular person or that very singular event that propels you based on years and years of preparation, but you just needed that defining relationship or that defining moment to occur. You have to be prepared mentally and emotionally and strategically for those moments, or you will miss them. And I've just watched this twice. Somebody's huge defining moment go away within seconds because they choose or they chose to be a drainer at a moment where they needed to lean into their inspiration. Don't make that mistake. Thank you for listening.